Welcome to the Rum Revival. My name's Arminder, and we're getting close to the end of the year. And like last year, I plan on doing a best of 2024 video at the end of the year where I highlight my favorite rums of the year in a number of different categories. So what I'm doing between now and when that video comes out is release a number of videos where I dive into one or two categories and talk through some of the rums that I think are contenders in that category. Now in this video, we're covering two categories: single cask releases and wider releases that are actually available and actually affordable. Maybe you call them value rums, maybe you call them like year-round core release rums. I'm not quite sure exactly how to kind of encapsulate the category, but you get the idea. First up, let's start with single cask releases. Now this is a tough category because given the limited nature of single cask with usually only 200 to 250 bottlings only available, it's kind of impossible to try them all. Plus, a lot of them are only available at one specific retailer or bar, and then unless you live in the vicinity, it's pretty tough to get your hands on them. But of course, what's so cool about single casks is that because of their rarity and specificity, they're often this kind of unique, singular experience that can never be replicated, or at least that is what a lot of people perceive single casks to be. Whether you agree with that or not, that's entirely up to you. But there is sometimes this element of FOMO with them for sure. So what are some of my contenders for best single casks of the year so far? Well, let's start off with one of the first ones I grabbed this year, and it's actually right behind me here. It is the Charanda Uruapan Reposado. This is a single cask release, and it's specifically a Fortaleza tequila cask. And I like Fortaleza, and I love Charanda Uruapan, so I was very excited to get this. It came out early in the year. Super limited. I don't know any other rum folks that got their hands on it, but I do know a bunch of agave folk that definitely bought these. This is 49% ABV. It's single cane varietal. It's the Caña Mexicana. And at the time that it came out, I really liked it. I still do. There's just a lot of like a combination of a little bit of roastiness and that charcoal ash note of the base distillate with maybe some roastiness, or at least how I perceive it as some roastiness coming from the tequila barrel. And I think it just makes for a great combination. It definitely is Charanda Uruapan through and through, but just with an element of a little touch of extra roastiness that I kind of like. I'd had a good amount of it early in the year and then kind of stepped away from it. And I had it again recently to do this video and to think about what my favorites of the year are. And it didn't hit as hard as I remember it. Maybe there's a good amount of oxygen in here now that kind of shifted it, or maybe I've changed, which is entirely possible, but it didn't wow me as much. I mean, I still thought it was fantastic, but at the time, I thought this was going to be the be-all and end-all. It's not maybe that anymore, but I still think it's a hell of a rum. Now, besides the Charanda Uruapan, the other rum that I was super excited about as we were coming into this year was Down Island Ghana. This is distilled in 2020 and bottled in 2024, so aged 4 years. It's a cane juice distillate from Ghana. Have had very little rums from Africa. I've had a handful, but this was something I really was excited about, especially because it's a country I've never had any rum from. And so I tried it, and I really liked it. And what I love about this, the flavor profile, there is an element of like raw green banana. Not like Jamaican banana, but like just like a raw blend between like cane and banana, like really green underripe banana. It's not something you get often, but when you do, I'm always a big fan of. Flavorful, very enjoyable, very drinkable. A very drinkable 62% ABV at that. So really excited to have this in my collection and looking forward to drinking more of this before I kind of make any ultimate decisions about this and the other single cask releases. Now, speaking of Down Island spirits, I have another single cask release on my short list, and that's the Jamaica HD 2014 single cask release. This is a Hampden Estate release, the Diamond H mark, so kind of a middle mark, or maybe the fourth or fifth highest in terms of ester count. It's 10 years of age in an ex-bourbon cask, 68.5% ABV, and full disclosure, I did not buy this bottle. Mike from Down Island sent it to me, and I wasn't going to buy it. I wasn't even going to try it because, generally speaking, I'm not necessarily someone who really craves the higher ester Hampden stuff, like the age. Like, yeah, I love Rumfire, but I love it in cocktails. I'm not drinking it neat. And I found that the higher ester Hampden stuff is a little too funky, a little intense, a little more acidic or sour for my palate. It's not really rums that I find overly sippable. Like, I like them in theory and on paper, but I'm not like crushing them. But this one's doing something very unique. It's taking that funkiness, it's taking the tropical fruit note, the sour note, the little acidity, and it's putting it all on the front part of your palate, like first maybe half or 2/3 of the experience on the palate. And then the last 2/3 or the last third is this lovely, rich caramel. And it's just this great juxtaposition of flavors, and it really kind of softens the blow, if you will, but it's a lovely blow. It's a nice, rich kind of caramel note that I just find very intriguing. And it just feels hyperly caramel to me, at least, partially because of the full-on Jamaican-ness that's happening up front. If it was the other way around, I don't think I would enjoy it as much, because I'd be left with that, funky acidic note, which is not a thing I overly enjoy. But the way it's kind of reversed, it just makes for such an amazing sipping experience. And I've actually made a Mai Tai with this, and it was fantastic. Oh yeah, that is amazing. Now the next set of single cask releases that I want to talk about are ones that I've had 1 or 2 pours of, small pours, mostly because I got them as samples, but I thought they were awesome or amazing, and I want to talk about them here. Now, first and foremost, I want to talk about the Holmes Cay Infinity. I did not get this. I guess this is this box you get for the 200 milliliter bottling, but I got a small, maybe an ounce and a half pour from the folks at Holmes Cay, and I have a video, you can watch it, and I think that rum is spectacular. It's just has all these layers of complexity and really great aging, right? This was the release that I think retails about $1,500, and I think this one was it $300 or $400? I don't remember exactly. And it has so many different really old rums. I think there were a couple of 50-year-old rums, right? If I remember correctly, some really old Port Morant and some other ones. I think was there one from Guadeloupe, whatever. You can watch that video to see the exact breakdown. But I just thought that was a lovely, complex, nuanced rum had everything I would want out of an old rum. It was so drinkable and enjoyable. But again, I only had, I think, this much of it. It's tough to say like, yeah, that's my favorite. I don't know. I don't feel as confident as saying that, because I would like to have a little bit more and a little bit more. So if anyone's watching this and they want to send me, I don't know, a full bottle, I'll take it and I'll drink it. But I just think it was just kind of impressive how a single cask, an infinity cask of, again, so many different random rums from all sorts of different countries, with different kind of age, different kind of source material, how they can all come together and surprisingly be incredibly tasty and have nuance to it and feel like a kind of singular experience and not just a chaotic jumble mess. Now I want to talk about some rums that I have sampled fairly recently, and I don't think I've really talked about too much on this channel. I think I did mention them in the best labels of the year, the contenders there, and that is this year's flag series. When I've got the Cambodia here and the Fiji. Now I did not buy the Jamaica, but I did try all three, and quickly, the Jamaica was very good, but it was definitely playing in the space of a lot of Worthy Park rums that I have had or have bottles of, so I didn't feel overly compelled to buy it. But again, I thought it was delicious, great Worthy Park rum. But I did decide to buy these 2 rums here based on those small, I think, ounce samples or whatever it was. I really remember being immediately impressed by the Cambodia. It just had this potpourri kind of note, but it also had very familiar barrel notes, so making it very drinkable, and it's at 48.7% ABV. For being an 8-year-old rum, it just had depth and flavor, and I just kept on wanting to drink it, and I really wanted to try it in a rum old fashioned, but I didn't have enough rum to do that. But now that I bought this, I will absolutely do that. But really enjoyed this. The Fiji, I don't think I was initially going to buy, but I just felt like I really liked the flavors there. There was a lot of Play-Doh. There's a little bit of like industrial quality to it, and but it also had a little bit of a softness and a gentleness, and I don't know, I wasn't like right away blown away, but I kept on thinking about it, and when I went to go buy this was sitting on the shelf, and it looked so sad, and I was like, okay buddy, I'm gonna have to buy you and take you home, and I did. Now in terms of releases that have not come out, that might come out still in the coming weeks that I would like to get my hands on, well, there are a number of releases from Raising Glasses. One, maybe the most notable one that I'm very excited to try is their 21-year-old Trinidad release. I don't know how to pronounce this, the Jablesse or Jablesse, whatever it is. I'm very excited to try this, especially because my favorite rum of last year, the Trinidad Flag series from La Maison and Vellier, I love the flavor profile here. There's like a mint and menthol note, and I'm hoping that one is also more of the same. That was 21 years old. This is 20 years old, so potentially they're from the same kind of year of distillation, and potentially it has all those flavor notes that I really loved in that. I'm hoping that also scratches that itch. If it does, I could see that skyrocketing to the top of the list. But it has been released, but I think mostly in the Boston area or the New England area, and is not available yet online to ship to California. But you better believe the moment it is available, I'm going to buy it, hoping it comes out this year. If not, then potentially it might be in the running next year. We'll see. Oh, and the other thing, I featured them in the label video, but all of these Roaming Road bottles, I've not cracked them open yet, just haven't had the time with the holidays and whatnot, but very much excited to trying the Australia, the Panama, the Belize, and the other one I have is the Jamaica. Really excited. I'm actually really excited about it's not here, but the Belize. I've heard good things about it. I'm excited about that, but I'm excited about all of them. And potentially any one of these could be in the running. They also have, I think, 4 or 5 other single cask releases that they've come out with. Anyways, let's move on to the next category, and that is kind of the opposite of all these single cask releases, which are super limited and usually fairly expensive, to rums that are broadly available and pretty affordable. Now, affordable, of course, is a relative term. I guess for me at least, it's definitely like under $50. 40 or under, a lot of these rums that I'm going to talk about are around the $30 range. I guess a lot of the thinking behind this category is like, this is a place to kind of recognize and celebrate like year-round core releases or releases that are wide enough that they should be available for the next year or 2 or 3 potentially. We're talking about rum, so compared to other spirits, wide availability isn't really like wide availability, right? Depending on the state or region you're in, you might not have access to these rums, that sucks, but that's kind of the reality of rum. I definitely have to start off this particular category with Worthy Park, right? They had the Overproof, the Silver, and the Select. The Select is fine. I'm not like the biggest fan of it, and obviously the Silver, we're gonna need to talk about this release because if you're watching this, you may know that technically the rum in here is just Rum Bar Silver, right? Which has been around for a couple of years. They're no longer going to be making it available here in the US. So they've kind of rebranded it as Worthy Park Silver. So the question is, should this be in the running for this or any other category, right? So technically it's not a brand new rum, but technically it is, right? I guess it really comes down to how do you define a rum, right? Is a change in name and a change in bottle and a change in label enough to make it a different rum? Or are you a purist that says it's all about the liquid inside, right? If that is the case, then no, this maybe shouldn't be in the running. But one could argue, like I'm going to try to do right now, is that a rum is more than just a liquid. We are human creatures that look with our eyes and hear with our ears and taste with our mouth. I don't know where I'm going with this, but what I'm trying to say is like all these things do affect our perception of what we drink and consume, right? The visuals, and I talked about this in the label video I put out, but like look and feel has a huge impact on how we perceive something might smell or taste, or I think it can at least, and our perception and our memories can affect it. So yeah, so is this a brand new rum that should be under consideration? I don't know, but I will say this, I do think it's delicious. I kind of skipped the Rum Bar Silver when it came out, but man, oh man, this is amazing because it's 40% ABV, right? But there's enough higher ester unaged Jamaican rum in here that it has so much flavor and personality for 40%. It's unaged, right? Like I don't know if there's any other unaged Jamaican rum on the market that's 40% ABV. Yeah, I don't think so. And this just packs so much flavor. And so if you want a crushable daiquiri or any other kind of crushable cocktail, but you want a lot of flavor, this is the way to go. And I just love the kind of Worthy Park banana. Ooh, oh my God. So much Worthy Park banana. So much like pear note as well. Lovely. Now, you may disagree on whether this should be in the running, but my God, the Worthy Park Overproof, what a, I was about to say killer diller rum, but I guess I just did. This is a killer diller rum. That is stupid. Anyways, this is fantastic. I really have been blown away by how much personality and flavor this has. Obviously, I love the category, unaged overproof Jamaican rums. I did a video with me and Derek from the Make and Drink YouTube channel. Watch that, where we tried this and Rum Fire and Money Musk Overproof and Ray Nephew. We tried them blind in a bunch of different cocktails, and I think this was Derek's favorite pick, and this was pretty high up there for me. And I've drunk it a couple times since, and I've just been really impressed by that Worthy Park banana note. But it also has a little bit of quality of cane to it, especially on the aroma, because this is a blend of molasses and cane juice. And I just think what it does really well is, unlike Rum Fire, which kind of maybe dominates too much of a cocktail with its flavor, which is not a bad thing, but it is what it is. This plays a little bit nicer in cocktails, and it allows some of the other ingredients to kind of do their thing while still making itself known, and that kind of classic flavor of Worthy Park is there. So truly a highlight for me this year in terms of a wider release. I think if you haven't had a chance to try this, you definitely should go get this, because I think this is one hell of a rum. I think they're both priced around $30-ish. This might be a little under, this might be a little over, but great price for great rum. Now the next rum on this list is the Hamilton Breezeway blend, right? This is a new release from Ed Hamilton in collaboration with Spike over there at the Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour on YouTube. They've done a couple of videos where they talked about it, and Spike's done a great job of really promoting the rum and getting people excited about it and making cocktails with this. You can go to his channel, you'll see, I don't know, it seems like 15 plus, maybe even more cocktails that he's made, some of which are his, some of which his viewers have contributed, and he's made them in his videos, and it's really cool to see all that. But this is just a delightful, flavorful, kind of lighter, white kind of rum, right? It's a blend of two of Hamilton's releases. It's the White Stash, which itself is, I believe, a blend of some rums from, let's say, Trinidad, Dominican Republic, and maybe Guyana. And then it's also a blend of the Jamaica Pot Still Blonde, not gold, blonde. And the blonde is lightly aged Worthy Park distillate. And it just does the thing that Probitas does really well, right? Which is that it's light enough, but it has that little punch of flavor, that Jamaican twist to it that just makes it really, really enjoyable and really makes it a kind of lighter cocktail really stand out. Like, a daiquiri with this is just fantastic, really enjoyable, really crushable. I made a lot of Queen's Park swizzles with this over the summer, loved them, and I just think it's a really great blend. It's lower in proof, 42.5% ABV, but that's perfect, right, for your crushable cocktails. And I'm glad that this is on the shelf. I think this is a happy medium between this really light white rums and the more flavorful Jamaican rums, somewhere in the middle, and there's a place for that, clearly. And I just think it's something that is really to be commended, and this is definitely something that's kind of on the short list for best kind of wide release of the year. I've seen this around like $28, $29, $30. Now, what I have had a whole bottle of, but I can't find it, maybe I tossed it when I finished it, was the Mount Gay Eclipse Navy Strength. I did a video early in the year with Derek from Make and Drink, where we tried it in a bunch of different cocktails. And I don't think we came out of that video like blown away, but I will say, if we're talking wider release, value release, in terms of affordability, it's tough to argue that, right? You can find them at most Total Wines. It's around $30, and it's what, 57% ABV, around there, or it's 54 to 57% ABV, and lightish on flavor, but a good kind of hit of ABV in your cocktails. I think it's a really good kind of contender for that kind of particular kind of cocktail rum. Now, I don't think it was something I ultimately would want to sip on, that one particularly. I don't think there was enough either distillate character or age character there. It was kind of somewhere in the middle. But I think it works in cocktails, right? Especially if you need a certain kind of ABV and you want a element of a little bit of flavor, a little bit of like char note, a little bit of barrel note that just adds a little bit to a cocktail. I think it really kind of ticks a couple of boxes in that regard. I think just talking it now, I don't think this is going to be my winner in the category, but I do think it's something to consider if you are kind of looking back at this year and some of those kind of releases that kind of qualify for widely available and pretty affordable. I think it definitely should be one mentioned. Now, next up is the Rolling Fork Heart of Gold. Now, here's the thing. This is affordable. I think it's around $30-ish. In terms of availability, It's not really available on store shelves, at least here on the West Coast. It might be in the Midwest or other parts of the country, though I haven't seen a whole lot of it. But it is available on Rolling Fork's website, and they ship to like 42 states. So I don't know, what do you consider widely available, right? Does it have to be in a store shelf? Well, I mean, that Worthy Park stuff, some of it's, I haven't seen a lot of store shelves, though I do know a number of like 3 or 4, retailers in California, for example, that sell them. And I imagine that's all the case in a lot of different states, but they're not like blanketed in every single liquor store, right? So at what point does something is considered to be widely available? I'd argue if you can easily get it on an online retailer like Rolling Fork's website, and they'll ship it to you and ship it to 42 states, to me, that's widely available, right? Again, up to you to define it how you will, but this is bottled at 50.5% ABV. It's a blend of, I think, 4 different rums, Barbados and Jamaica. Some pot still, some column still. And this, again, I did another video where I tried this in a bunch of different cocktails, and I think it was rock solid, flavorful. If I had to pick between the Mount Gay Eclipse Navy Strength and this, I'd go with this one for flavor. I really enjoyed it. Neat. I think I enjoyed it in a daiquiri. I enjoyed it in all sorts. I think I actually thought this was delicious in a Mai Tai, and I just remembered that I did that, and now I need to retry this in a Mai Tai, because I remember being really impressed by how flavorful it was. So I think it's a fun blend. It's got good proof, good pricing, and yeah, there's some shipping involved, but I think if you were looking for something and you're willing to spend an extra couple bucks to get it shipped to you, so making it like maybe around a $40 bottle, I think you'll find that this is pretty flavorful. Next up are these 3 rums from Rum Jam, the Atelier series, the Epis Creoles, the Jardin Fruit, and the Fumée Volcanique. I did a video with my buddy Doc Parks where we tried these 3 in a number of different cocktails. You can check it out. These are around, I think, $30, $35, maybe around $40 for 1 or 2 of them. They all have been aged a different amount of time, different kind of cask types. The Epis Creole has a lot of warm kind of baking spice notes, pretty strong. The Jardin Fruit, a little fruity, but some barrel quality as well. And the Fumée Volcanique is kind of scotchy, actually. A little bit of smokiness there. And I think they all work in different types of cocktails. Ultimately, I found the Jardin Fruit might be the one that's the most kind of approachable, I think it makes for a really good rum old fashioned, but kind of middle of the road, like in the best way, like it isn't doing anything too wild. The Epis Creoles, I think, works if you want a good hit of spice notes and kind of warm baking spice notes in a cocktail. I forget what we made this with. Was it a 3 dots and a dash? I thought it worked really well in a 3 dots and a dash. And the Fumée Volcanique is a little weird. It's a little, I think, buttery and smoky. But if you're looking for kind of out there experiences, this is kind of the one. I just think the really impressive thing with these is how different they are relatively to each other, and that Rum Jam is kind of willing to experiment and be playful with their releases. Now, of course, last year, the winner of my actually affordable, actually available release was the Terroir Volcanique from Rum Jam. I think that's a fantastic rum, and if I had to compare these to that one, I'd have to give it up to the Terroir Volcanique. I think that's the better rum. Well, let me rephrase that. It's definitely for me, the better sipping experience than these 3, but I think these are great tools in your toolkit when you're making certain kind of cocktails, and they can provide different flavors in those cocktails. And so knowing what you're making, you've got some options here to kind of use to kind of create the flavor you want in your particular cocktail. Now, the last one I want to highlight is a little more expensive. So everything else I've covered has been around like $30, $35. And this one is available at least probably for the next year or so. And I just think it's a hell of a rum, and it's the Shakara 12 year. Okay, so I've mentioned this already in the last video where I talked about labels, but molasses, all tropically aged in Thailand, 12 years of aging. Its price, I've seen it, usually it's like high 40s, maybe around 50 sometimes, but I've seen it as low as $42. When I was first given a sample of this, I was like, wow, this is really tasty, this is really good, but knowing that this is coming from La Maison and Vellier, it's probably gonna be priced at like $60 to $70, and like, okay, maybe I'd buy for that, but yeah, that's how much I thought it was gonna be. And then when I hit the shelves and it was around $45 to $50, I was like, that is tremendous value for what you're getting. I think it totally is a steal, frankly, at that price. They could have priced it higher, and I kind of thought they would, but they didn't. And so I feel like it's worth noting in something like this where I'm talking about actually affordable or value kind of propositions. This, to me, is an incredible value for the amount of aging you get, how delicious it is. And yeah, it is only 45.7% ABV, but I think it works. The proof works for this for the flavor here. Alrighty, that's it for this week and some of the rums that I'm considering for single cask rums of the year, as well as widely available and affordable rums of this year. Now, I am super curious to see what some of your favorites are in those categories, so please let me know by leaving a comment down below. And if you want to support this channel, then check out my Patreon page where I have a bunch of exclusive content there that I think you'll really enjoy. Thanks so much for watching. Catch y'all next time. Cheers.